I was reborn as a white snake in the mountains. To survive the brutal wilderness, I had to let my animal instincts take over. Every day, I either caught sparrows and stole eggs, or boxed with rabbits. After 50 years, I finally became the ruler of this mountain, but I also turned cold-blooded. My memories of my past life slowly faded, until one day, an herb picker fell into the water. The last bit of humanity in me pushed me forward. I saved him and sent him down the mountain. I thought that would be the end of it. But 2.5 days later, that guy showed up in front of me again. First, he took out a few boiled eggs. Then he bowed to me again and again. Thank you for saving my life. Otherwise, my wife and kids wouldn't have survived. I also have one humble request. Snake God, please allow me to gather herbs in this mountain. Hearing that, I was speechless. I thought he was getting greedy, so I turned and left. But when the herb picker saw I didn't bite him, he took it as a yes. From then on, he became a regular in my mountain. Every day, I coiled up in a big tree, watching him gather herbs and plant seedlings, slowly building himself a little herb garden. Whenever we ran into each other, he'd just sit down like we were old friends. He'd ramble about how many herbs he'd picked lately, how his family finally had food, and how he had to thank me properly. Eventually, I got sick of his nagging, so I started avoiding him every day. Half a year passed like that. The seedlings he planted had grown. He was picking more herbs every day, and the villagers finally got jealous. That day, I was cultivating as usual. After finishing, I sensed 3 warm human figures in the herb garden. I instantly got mad. I thought the herb picker had secretly brought people in. Did he really think this was his backyard? Furious, I shot down the mountain. But when I reached the garden, I saw the herb picker lying on the ground, blood at his mouth. His hands were locked around a villager's leg. "These are my herbs. You can't take them." It was a skinny man. Hearing that, he kicked even harder. "What, this mountain belongs to you? This is our land. You've got some nerve stealing herbs here." The other 2 just stood there watching. Then they reached for the herbs. The herb picker saw it. He had no choice but to let go of the skinny man. Then he spread his arms wide, protecting the 2 most valuable herbs. No matter how they beat him, he wouldn't move. Seeing this, I was confused. Was it really worth fighting over a few herbs? I was wondering whether to do something. Then I saw the skinny man's face turn red. The veins on his forehead were bulging. He suddenly pulled out a wood-cutting knife and swung it at the herb picker's back. The blade was heavy and not that fast, but it still cut into him. The other 2 were terrified. They were just ordinary mountain folk. They never thought of killing a neighbor. "What are you scared of? It's just us here. Who'll know if you helped or not?" He wanted to drag them down with him, but no one answered. When he turned back out of habit, something suddenly clamped around his neck. Then came a rush of deadly venom. Snake venom flooded into his body through his neck. At that point, even a miracle pill couldn't save him. After letting go of the skinny man, I raised my head and looked at the other 2. They were scared out of their minds. They scrambled away on their hands and knees. I didn't chase them, and I felt no guilt. 20 years of living like a beast had already worn away what humanity I had left. The herb picker stared at me in horror. Maybe only now did he remember that the white snake before him was a wild beast. After I dumped the man's body and returned to the herb garden, I noticed the herb picker talked much less. From then on, there was fear in his eyes when he looked at me. Eventually, he stopped talking altogether. The weather slowly turned cold. Once the herbs were fully grown, he dug them up and never came back. His little herb garden slowly went wild, and I returned to my old life. Only now, I cultivated even harder. By the 2nd year, the herb picker came once, but he only watched from far away, then left. What I didn't know was, the outside world was already going crazy. People said a giant white snake in the mountain had become a spirit. Some even said I had a rooster comb on my head and loved eating people. After that, no one dared enter this forest again. Just like that, another 10 years passed. My body became even stronger. One day, I suddenly sensed someone entering the mountain. It was the herb picker. He bowed again and again, just like 10 years ago. 10 years had passed. The man who once risked his life to gather herbs had grown much older. With that hunched body, he probably couldn't climb cliffs anymore. It's been 10 years. I didn't think I'd live to see you again. I raised my head and looked at this old man, no longer chatty. A strange emotion flickered in my eyes. Me? I'm just useless old bones now. I can't earn money for the family anymore. Now I rely on my son and daughter-in-law. My wife passed away the spring before last. During the drought, there was no food. She wouldn't listen. She ate clay. She only lasted 7 days. She wanted to save the grain for the children. I listened quietly. For once, I didn't think he was annoying. This old man had worked his whole life to feed his family, but in the end, he still couldn't give them comfort. He didn't understand why, but I did. In an age where class was already fixed, and everything was a mess, most people had almost no chance at a better life. That afternoon, the herb picker left. He didn't have much time left. I smelled death on him. Maybe he would be happy. After death, he could see his wife and save his son another mouthful of food, but I felt a sudden urgency. Death didn't feel good. I didn't want to die again. And so, a white snake in the mountains, afraid of death, began desperately absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. A few more years passed. Then something strange happened. For some reason, big snakes kept crawling into my territory, even though I was bigger, and tossed them out roughly. Another one would show up the next day. It drove me crazy. I couldn't cultivate properly. In the end, I had no choice. I decided to go see what the ancient human world looked like, but I never expected to witness another painful goodbye. 2 days later, I wandered into the woods near a village. My first impression of the village was simple, poor. Down the slope were broken thatched huts. There were a few rice fields by the stream. A skinny yellow dog ran across the field ridge. You could barely even find mice. I planned to take a quick look and head back into the mountains. But before I left, I met a little girl. She was 6 or 7. Her hair was tied in little pigtails. She wore a faded rough cloth dress. She bounced into the back mountain to catch butterflies and pick flowers. Usually this place was quiet. There weren't many wild animals. But today, a limping old wolf happened to be wandering around. Just as the little girl froze in fear, I shot forward. I startled the old wolf and wrapped around it. Then I tightened my body hard, until its bones snapped. The little girl sat on the ground, staring at me and the wolf. She didn't nearly faint like the herb picker had back then. Instead, she stared into my eyes for a long time. Then she finally asked curiously, "Are you the snake immortal from the back mountain?" I was speechless. I didn't expect those old rumors to still be around. I nodded twice to say yes. When the girl saw me respond, her little mouth dropped open in shock. "You can understand me?" I nodded twice again. Now the little girl was completely stunned. After thinking for a bit, she asked another question. "Are you going to eat me?" "Daddy says wild animals in the mountains eat people." I shook my head. I kind of wanted to nod and scare her, but I'd been alone in these mountains for so long. Finding someone I could talk to wasn't easy. The little girl happily ran over. She touched my scales, just like that. I, who had planned to return deep into the mountains, stayed near the village. The girl named Duo often came to chat with me. When she got tired, she'd fall asleep on me. A few months passed. One day, Duo came over looking down and sat on me. "Big Snake, I'm so hungry. The clan chief in town took all our grain. He said it was for the imperial tax. But Duer is really hungry." I understood. In this era, common people lived under clan chiefs and elders. They were basically local kings. Dividing land, selling property, even killing and burning, they called the shots. Imperial power didn't reach the villages. This was exactly what that meant. If a clan chief and elders squeezed the poor too hard, the poor had no way to fight back. After thinking it over, I turned and slipped into the woods. Under Duo's eager stare, I dragged out a little wild boar. "Wow, is this for me?" When Duer saw me nod, her eyes curved like crescent moons. "Thank you, Big Snake," she shouted all the way home. But the next day, the whole village knew. With food now, Duer's father shared meat with a few starving families. These villagers lived on the edge of the 100,000 mountains. They had to stick together to survive. At first, everyone said Duo was just lucky. But after the boar meat was gone, Duer found 2 pheasants in the back mountain. Her parents started to feel something was off, but they didn't say much. Then when the family was running out of food again, Duer somehow brought back a wolf. Now the villagers couldn't sit still. A full-grown wild wolf? How could a little girl just stumble into that? On the hillside, dozens of villagers gathered around the wolf corpse. Duo stood in the middle with her head down. Sure, this food had helped the village survive, but it was way too strange. They might really burn Duo as some kind of demon. "Duer, what's going on with this wolf?" Duo lowered her head and rubbed her fingers without speaking. "Was it a wandering hero passing through our village?" Her father said that. Heroes were martial artists who roamed the land, but Duo still shook her head. Now her father had to scare her into talking. "Duer, you have to tell the truth, or don't call me your father anymore." Duo burst into tears. In the end, she confessed everything. From the woods far away, I sighed to myself. After thinking about it, I decided to show myself. I wanted to see how the villagers would react. That scared the crowd badly. Someone shouted, "Look, a white snake!" Everyone followed that person's gaze. They saw Duo crying as she ran forward. She threw her arms around me. Tears poured down like they were free. I lowered my head and gently rubbed her back with my tongue. That was my way of comforting her. After showing myself and making my existence known, I turned and slithered back into the woods. Then I circled around and watched from another side. When I saw the villagers didn't hurt Duo, I finally relaxed. After that, the legend of the snake immortal spread through the village. Some villagers even brought yellow paper and candles to worship where I had appeared. They thanked me for bringing food and prayed for good weather next year. Fine, whatever. But the craziest part was, some people even prayed for a good husband. How was I supposed to handle that? After that, every few days, I brought the village a little gift. But the good days didn't last. The strange story in the mountain village soon attracted outsiders. That day, Duo ran to the back mountain, shouting as she ran, "Big Snake! Big Snake, run! Someone wants to catch you and sell you." A lot of hunters came. There were men on big horses too. Daddy told me to tell you to leave now. I nodded. Then I turned and slithered deeper into the mountains. Duo let out a breath of relief. She waved at my back. Meanwhile, many people had arrived in the village. Most of them were hunters. There were also armed servants with blades. Apparently, the clan chief in town had heard about me, so he immediately hired hunters to catch the snake himself. Villagers young and old knelt on the ground. They begged the clan chief to spare the snake immortal. All they got in return was a whipping. In the end, the clan chief paid off a few villagers to guide them. The snake hunting team marched into the mountain. White snakes were already rare, especially one as huge as me. And with intelligence too, I was priceless. Whether as a gift or for sale, they'd make a fortune. But these people forgot one thing. The 100,000 mountains didn't have their deadly name for nothing. A group moved slowly through the valley. When I saw them from far away, I turned and slithered off. I even left behind a strong scent on purpose. The hunting dogs grew more and more excited. The clan chief's face lit up. Everyone keep pushing. Once this is done, I'll reward you all well. A big reward always brings brave fools. The exhausted group sped up and rushed into the woods. The surroundings were eerily quiet. No birds, no beasts, not even a mouse in sight. The unnatural silence made the hunting dogs restless. But soon, the hunters in front found something. The clan chief rode over. Everyone was gathered around several strange things. They were huge dirt pillars taller than a person. Remembering they had seen many along the way, the clan chief instinctively felt something was wrong, just as he was about to order everyone to leave. On a distant slope, my tail had already wrapped around a big rock. I flung it hard. It slammed into the dirt pillar. With a loud crack, a chunk of the pillar broke off, but nothing happened. The crowd froze for a moment. Thinking someone had ambushed them, they formed a tight circle. They stayed tense for a long while. What they would never realize was, if they had run the moment the rock landed, maybe they could have survived. But now it was too late. The next second, black streams gushed out of the dirt pillars like springs. Thumb-sized ants poured out. They instantly became a black ocean and swallowed those greedy people whole. I left without looking back. Later, the few who escaped alive all went insane. Once again, the 100,000 mountains proved with blood that they were not to be messed with. Dozens of people entered the mountain alive. Fewer than 10 came out. After that, even herb pickers didn't dare enter anymore. At the same time, the villagers realized I wasn't brainless. I was pretty good at making others do my killing, and because of that, they feared me even more. I knew I couldn't interact with Duo too much, otherwise I might affect her life. So I decided to return to the mountain. 9 years passed. I came to the village outskirts again. Maybe Duer and I really were connected. The moment I reached the back mountain, I saw a pretty figure standing there in a daze. The little girl had grown up, but her scent hadn't changed. If you ignored the calluses on her hands, Duo was actually quite pretty. Her long hair fell to her waist. In the countryside, she was considered a real beauty. Duer seemed to sense something. She turned around and saw that long-lost white figure. Just like when she was little, she ran over and hugged me. She was crying and laughing. She blamed me for leaving for so many years. Night fell. The stars shimmered. Duo leaned against me on the grass. Her big eyes and my snake eyes looked up at the stars together. Actually, I couldn't see the stars. My extreme nearsightedness hadn't changed much after cultivation, but that didn't stop me from pretending. I'm getting married. Brother Wang from the village is a good man. I like him, but I don't want to marry him. Last month, landlord Guo came to our village. He saw me and said he wanted me as his concubine. I know concubines have no status. Landlord Guo is as old as my father. He's 40. But our village is poor. Brother Wang's family is poor too. Every year, they dig roots and scrape bark to eat. Landlord Guo is different. His family eats meat every day. I wouldn't have to worry about going hungry. I really don't want to starve anymore. I know. Duer was getting emotional. I knew she was just trying hard to prove herself right. That's right. The day after tomorrow, I'm getting married. White Snake, can you see me off? I nodded. The starry night was bright. The sound of crying on the hillside carried far, far away. That's good. On her wedding day, there was no music and no banquet. A small sedan chair came and took Duo away. All she brought was a small bundle. Duo's parents cried and refused to let go. Not far away on the hillside, a young man knelt on the ground, sobbing hard. It was the brother Wang Duo had talked about. Maybe he was cursing himself for being useless, for not being able to feed Duo. Or maybe he hated landlord Guo for ruining the girl he loved. But he couldn't do anything. He could only watch as the chair carried away the girl he loved. Inside the chair, Duo lifted the curtain with one hand. Her eyes found my long white figure in the rice fields. On her tear-streaked face, a happy smile appeared. Maybe she had let down brother Wang, who loved her deeply. Maybe marrying an old landlord as a concubine was wrong. But so what? Fate had tormented her for more than 10 years. She didn't want to starve herself to death to save food for children.
She just didn't want to be hungry.
She just wanted to live. Blame the world, blame fate. I followed the little sedan chair all the way to an estate outside town. I climbed up a big tree. From far away, I watched the chair enter through the back gate. A concubine had low status. She wasn't qualified to enter through the front gate, nor was she qualified for a wedding ceremony or banquet. They called her a concubine, but honestly, she was just entertainment. I stayed in that tree for a long time. Only when the sun set and the estate lit its lanterns did I turn away. I returned to my own 100,000 mountains. In my heart, I silently blessed that once innocent girl. But Duo had grown up in the mountains. Could she really survive the schemes of a rich household? Because of what happened to Duo, I began cultivating even harder. I hoped that one day, no one else's hand could control my fate. But 1 year later, a figure stumbled into the valley. Even with torn clothes, covered in wounds, he ran like he had gone mad. For some reason, my heart tightened. Because in my senses, that person was Brother Wang. Brother Wang shouted, "Snake Immortal! Snake Immortal! Please save Duer!"